Hi YouTube, how do you explain the fact that for some people time goes fast and for other people time goes slow? How do you explain this? It's a question that occurs in most people's mind at some point, either during the day or during the week or during the month or during the year. Right. Time is conditioned by our evolution. So although it seems the same amount of time for everyone, like for instance there's 24 hours in a day, 60 seconds in a minute, or 60 minutes in an hour. So for everyone it would appear that time is exactly the same. But that's not quite true, is it? Because some people experience time faster and some people experience time slower. So how do you explain this? Well, um, um, to explain time you have to understand how the mind works. When a person has drunk a lot of alcohol or has taken drugs, time seems to speed up. People don't notice time, which directs the attention to the mind and says that the mind is what creates time. You could say that the mind creates time because people don't perceive time in the same way. For some people time is going slow and for other people time is going fast. So how can you explain this? If a person is bored, they're living on the surface of their mind. If a person is engrossed in something, if a person is deeply involved in an activity or a task, then time goes fast. At the opposite end of the spectrum, you've got people who meditate. Now, people who meditate, the focus of the mind goes deep within the mind. So the consciousness goes inwards. In meditation, the consciousness goes inwards. And the more the consciousness goes inwards, the more you are beyond time, or the more that time doesn't exist for you. So this person whose consciousness is going inwards, even if they haven't got anything to do, they will still perceive time as going very fast. Whereas a person can be doing lots of different things and still find that time's going slow. But that depends on the surface of the consciousness again. If that person is bored while they're doing all these different activities, then they will find that time is going slow. So the speed of time is not according to how many seconds are in a minute, or how many minutes are in an hour, or how many hours are in a day, but it depends on your focus of consciousness, where you're focal, where the centre of your consciousness is, where your focus concentration is. If your focused awareness is on the surface of the mind, then time will go slow. If the concentration, if the consciousness is deep involved into the centre of the mind, beyond the 10%, if a person's consciousness goes deep into the mind, then time goes fast. Which brings us to another point. How does time and speed relate to each other? At the centre of the mind, let's start with the centre of the mind and work outwards. At the centre of the mind, there is no time, there is no space. The centre of the mind is beyond the speed of light. There is no E equals mc squared. There's no mass to the centre of the mind. It's infinite. It's infinitely deep. As in space constantly evolves outwards, so the inside recesses constantly evolve inwards. So just as there's no way to measure the outer edges of the universe, there's also no way to measure the inner universe. Speed equals time or time equals speed. If, for instance, if a person is travelling in a fast vehicle, say a person travels over 100 miles an hour for a couple of hours, say a person's on a plane for a couple of hours, they will have lost a few minutes off their journey because of the speed of the plane. You can look this up if you wish. So that shows that it's not just the mind that controls time, it's also speed. And speed is evolution at the end of the day. So you could say the faster you travel, the more your mind resolves inwards to its centre. And the slower you travel, the more the mind goes towards the surface of the centre, the surface of the mind. Now I've probably confused everyone, including myself. So the quicker we go, the more the consciousness involves inwards, and the faster we experience time, and the slower we go, the more the consciousness resolves to the surface like bubbles, resolves to the surface of the mind, and therefore time goes slow. I had to think then. God bless everyone. Konnichiwa. 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 Konnichiwa.